And will also on the immigration front, the Wall Street Journal reports that a powerful and influential group of Mexicans are pushing an aggressive strategy to fight President Trump's deportation policy. They're urging people who are targeted to fight extradition efforts, jamming the U.S. immigration courts in the hopes that the already struggling system will break down. To talk about this is David Bruno. He's a criminal defense attorney and a former prosecutor and trial attorney, and Mercedes Colwin, also here, a Fox News legal analyst. Mercedes, before we get to the that proposal that is actually precipitated by the executive order on the travel ban, I want to talk about that very order. Sure. Is the executive order fundamentally lawful? And how difficult will it be to prove the president's determination that the suspension of travel from those 7 countries was necessary to protect national security?
Great questions. Fundamentally, it is lawful. There is lots of precedent where it comes. There's law on the books which says what the president has done is lawful. He is simply enforcing what laws are already on the books. He's enforcing what he is permitted by Congress to do, which is to stop the aliens if, in his determination, these aliens have posed some risk. Why is that so important here? Those 7 countries have already been identified by Congress and the former administration, President Obama's administration, that they pose a threat. There was lots of terrorist activities in these 7 countries. And by the way, because of that, the visa process was much heavily scrutinized in those 7 countries under the former administration. Given those 2 facts, it's definitely lawful.
So then, David, should the president present the same case or a brand new order on immigration, and what should the composition be?
Brand new. And I fundamentally agree that he does have the power under 8 U.S.C. 1182F. Okay, and that's what gives him the power. But the problem here is the text of it does not make clear whether or not it applies for lawful residents. And that was the crux of the Ninth Circuit's decision.
So that's why you're saying he should come up with a brand new order.
Yeah, he should redraft it, and I think that's going to happen on Monday. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a new order on Monday.
Okay, we'll watch it, and maybe you'll be back to analyze that. I want to move now to this proposal that I first started talking about in anticipation of a likely increase of deportation of people from Mexico living here in the U.S. illegally. Mexico's former Foreign Minister Jorge Castañeda had this to say. Pop this up for me, guys. The backlog in the immigration system, there it is tremendous. The idea is to double or triple the backlog until U.S. President Donald Trump desists in this stupid idea, end quote. So basically, you have these influential Mexicans telling undocumented Mexicans who are living in this country, listen, take your case, the fight to court, jam the system. It's already it's very overburdened. You can break the system. So is this a good strategy? Can it work, or will it backfire?
Well, it's on a practical level, it probably can work, but what can be done as in order to contradict it or to fight that is simply get more judges, get more enforcement, fix already what we have. This agency, Immigration and National Relations Service, already is difficult. It's problematic. Fix that system, but you can do it with the funding. So the federal government can definitely counteract what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but if you've got groups right now today in Phoenix, for instance, working on this plan, you know, that's happening now, basically. So when you're talking about Mercedes, and David, you jump in, you're getting new judges in place. I mean, that takes time. They're talking about doing this immediately.
I think it's horrible because of the motivation. And essentially what they're saying is that they want to back up our system. But what the funding does is it gives people the resources, because there are arguments that illegal persons can make. There are certain waivers. There's the cancellation of removal. There's the possibility of asylum. Okay, and sometimes it boils down to the resources that people have to hire attorneys and make these arguments. So I think that in that context, it may be good because it gives people the right to make certain arguments.
The laws are there. The laws are very clear. If you commit a felony, you're out of this country. If you're here illegally, if you adopt and many of these individuals have adopted identity. So there's identity theft. They have false social security numbers. Look, a lot of us are immigrants. My family immigrated here. My father from Connecticut, from Germany many years ago in the 19th century.
You immigrated from Connecticut?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, he grew up in Connecticut. But my mom was Puerto Rican. She came here lawfully. But look, so many of us have immigrant backgrounds. This is the type of thing that you do. You process it, go through the process, do it correctly, do it in a way that's lawful. So therefore, you don't face deportation.
Yeah, what Secretary Kelly said in the beginning of this piece was that the laws are on the books. And it's simple as that. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, any alien who's here illegally is deportable. Right. You know, and the Obama administration had a policy, and they actually memorialized it in a 2014 memorandum that prioritized people with criminal records.
So, you know, Mercedes, I mentioned that happening in Phoenix today. You've got meetings with lawyers, right, as well as the mayor there in Phoenix, Greg Stanton. You've got Arizona Senator Jeff Flake he's a Republican senator, and Senator Flake says, quote, Mr. Trump's proposed policies pose risks to Mexican-U.S. relations. What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, that's something that President Trump obviously has to determine whether it's really worth it. It's going to be one of these balances. You're going to balance the pros and cons of that type of relationship. Is it more problematic if not? But frankly, at the end of the day, Mexico probably needs the United States more.
This is up to the legislators to change the law. The laws are on the books, and it's the president's responsibility to execute the laws. And that's what I think this administration is going to do.
Okay, so what do you think is going to happen come Monday night?
With the
executive order.
With the executive order. It's going to be modified because there's certainly people that have the green card have already been heavily vetted to be in this country lawfully. Mm-hmm. Right. It will have that carve out.
Sure, it has to have those. It has to have the exception for the green card holders as well as the visa holders,
which probably should have happened in the first place, and it didn't. Hey, do you think, David, that it's a good sign for the president that Friday the Ninth Circuit judge asked the other judges, said, listen, why do we consider rehearing this case before a full court, which would be the total of 11 judges?
Right, that's a motion sua sponte. There's 27 judges, and one of the judges in the circuit made a request, and there's going to be a vote. And all the judges will vote, and if there's a majority, they're going to rehear it on in bank.
Well, certainly that's great. You have more voices. It was a very hotly contested issue when the two lawyers came forward before just the 3 judges. So it'll be interesting what will happen with the 11.
And here's the thing. If it's redrafted, then it's moot. And there's not going to even be a reconsideration because it's going to change.
Well, the issue at hand is a limited executive order as it existed. Once it becomes modified, it's no longer under the jurisdiction of this court.
Which is probably why they will modify it, right?
Exactly right.
Yeah, and
get it out of court, and let's just be practical about it. Really.
Yeah, the president made some comments yesterday, and this appeal process takes time. So if he changes it on Monday, then that ban will go into effect Monday.
Okay. And it is about time from the president's perspective. Got to leave it there. David Bruno, Mercedes Colwin.
Thanks so much.
Nice to see you both. Thank you very much. Eric.
All right, thanks so much, Arthel. Well, take a look.